G'day folks, welcome to another episode of She'll Be Right Garage. I did promise you a TA22 Celica for some rust repairs, so let's go and check it out. And here we are. Here's the old girl ready for sale. Well, not quite. We need to get it ready for sale. Looks a bit rough, but it's actually not too bad rust-wise. Need to get the door on it. Put on some panels, but overall she is pretty tidy. So I think first things first, let's get him loaded. Well, we'd best be on our way. Well, she's here nice and easy, but it's time we get her inside, I reckon. That'll do it. Well, I think first things first, before we do any rust, we need to take off some of these panels and all the other crap that's going to be in the way and see really what we're dealing with. do have some rust around this back window. We're going to have to pull it out. Unfortunately, the rubber on this is so brittle, I'm going to have to chop the whole lot out. Be pretty tough to break away when it's like this, but should be right. We'll get it sorted. You can see just how brittle that rubber is. It's just not savable. By the time we cut all of it around the perimeter, at least on the sides and the top, we'll be able to push that screen out from the inside. Now we can take a closer look and get a better idea of the extent of any rust that's around the windscreen. To be expected down the bottom, not too bad overall. Top's looking good. So it's the right hand side. Tiny little spot in the corner here. Overall not bad for a 46-year-old car. Pretty happy with that. And now we're going to take a bit of a look down the left hand side of the car. You can see got some rust issues on the sill and the corner of the door. Moving forward, we've got similar issues with that fender and a little bit on the front left corner of the bonnet. So let's take care of those first. Happily enough, these are actually all quite minor. So outside of that front fender, I actually think most of these are going to fill in with some spots of world. It's that small. So happy days. It's good to see on a car this age. That will do it. So with the left side of the car done, we've got a bit of focus on the boot. Don't know if you can see it, but a bit of that lip's missing and rusted away. Same thing here. Got a little bit here on the right hand side. We need to deal with some of this boot floor rust, so we'll probably do a combination of some paint stripper and some map gas heat. We've got a bit of rust down the bottom, we'll show you underneath. So you can see in the little well there is gone, and a little bit on the inner fender, so we need to take care of that. In addition to that, we've also got to look at this rear windscreen area. It's not too bad. Have a little bit on the right hand side as well, again not too bad. So we do have some lead here, just going to get rid of the end of it, let it drip out, and I'll try not to get rid of too much, only where we need to repair this rust. That should give us enough raw steel to work with now, I'm happy with that. Also give us enough to work with. Happy days. And now if I go around with the light switched off on the camera and some lights underneath, you can see just how many holes are turning up with the pitting that's within the wheel well here. Now that said, I think probably maybe 20% of these I can fill up with some weld, but the rest of it's going to need some significant replacement sections made up. It is what it is. We want to try to make it done as concourse correct as possible. And so we'll just get started with the small items first, and anything that blows through we'll cut out and replace. So a few of these have worked quite well. We'll keep on moving on. Alright, and that'll do for now. Moving on. I'm going to take care of this area here. Doesn't look too bad, but we've got to take a bit of a chunk out. You can see from underneath it doesn't look real pretty. So I'm going to have to undo some spot welds and remove this plate and repair it, and then do some of the sheet steel that's here as well. So there'll be a couple of spot welds still holding that plate in, but This plate's pretty rotten as well, so we're going to make the whole lot up from scratch, I think, so not too worried about destroying it. There we are with that piece removed. Pretty shitty, we'll make him up from scratch. So we'll cut that out and weld it in. Alright, so we'll line up our replacement piece. I'm going to make this one up from scratch. Generally rough enough is good enough. Alright, so that'll have a folded edge like so. Same with that. That'll do by comparison. Now we'll cut these off, drill some holes and mark them and weld them in place. And this bracket, which sits on top, goes approximately like so. Make sure it's nice and even. And that's how we can easily mark these holes out. Just like that. So all three are lined up in a row. So now we can spot weld them in, and then we can spot weld it to the car. Done and done. So the spare tie mount needs some work. Got to make up a new leg for this one and do a couple of repairs to these legs as well. That's roughly the angle we need. Okay, That's a pretty accurate representation there. Angles are pretty good. Okay. So now we just got to line up against here, cut across there, weld that in place. Ready to weld to the floor. Righto, let's get that under some primer, shall we? All sorted, that will do. Alright guys, that's going to have to wrap us up for this episode of the rust repairs for the Celica. The spare tyre well certainly took a lot longer than expected. It did appear to be mostly surface rust, which in effect it kind of was, but then there was quite a few other pinholes that needed rectification. So, you know, hence it is what it is. You know, you get that with rust repairs. They do often take longer than expected. But look, do join us for the next one. We're going to tackle the rest of these rust repairs and get this car ready for sale. Cheers, guys.
Sorry for distracting.
Oh, get out. Oh, you bird. Oh, that fucking hurt. Fuck you. Motherfucker. Fuck off, prick.